Hello and welcome to Be Kind Connects. I'm your host, Shabnam Islam. Joining us today is Nekia Hattley, owner of My Daddy's Recipes, a South Central plant-based food and wellness company that teaches Black and Brown people that plant-based can be both nutritious and delicious and satisfying. What a pleasure it is to have you, Nekia.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Are you kidding me? I saw your submission originally for the Share Your Stories event that we wanted to do on Be Kind Connects, and I was like, whoa, this woman deserves a segment on her own right. I mean, you are doing some really, really, really big things. And, before we even dive into that, Nekia, I want to talk about who you are. Let's talk about your life before My Daddy's Recipes. I want to know where you grew up, about your community, what your lifestyle was before the creation of this empire.
Okay. I'm from South Central LA, and my parents were both pastors growing up. So we had women and men coming out of the prison system. We had homes for them. And then we also had abused women and children center homes as well. And we used to feed the community anywhere between 100 to 200 people from our home originally in South Central. And then we started doing it from the church once they got the building. So I've been I guess giving back is in the fibers of who I am. And I don't ever remember a point in my life that community wasn't involved. Just a really big foodie. Oh my God. Really, really big foodie. Always loved food. Like there's this crazy story about when I was a kid, baby, really. And my mother had just went and bought me all this baby food. And my aunt came in and she's like, "Oh, Kia, let me taste that." And she tasted the baby food and she's like, "Oh my God, I wouldn't eat this, Kia, if I was you. It don't have any salt in it." And I never ate baby food from that day. So I've been a foodie since the womb. And so I believe in seasoning. I believe honestly, lack of flavor is something you could probably go to hell for. I think it's one of the commandments. It's really real. I'll get on a plane for food. So I really, really love food. I love growing. I love all essence of food. I like watching people eat. It's really kind of weird.
And I love that you say this because you talk about, your father, your parents having such a great impact on your life, on your being, on who you are. And I was reading this bio of you and I'm like, wow, you even veganize some of, your favorite childhood dishes to bring it as a part of My Daddy's Recipes. And you created a business that's called My Daddy's Recipes. So why is your dad such an influential aspect of this part of your life?
Okay, well, it pays homage to my dad who taught me how to bake. Like our cobblers that we have, and that's what we started off with. And he had to make these cobblers every holiday or it was going to be a big problem. Like he was going to be attacked by the family or something. But we had a peach cobbler we had to have every holiday and a sweet potato cobbler. And we just grew up on those. Every holiday we would have to have those. So he taught me how to bake. And so it pays homage to him. And then it also is a movement to show people of color that we are all essential ingredients in God's recipe for a better world, hence My Daddy's Recipes. So that's what it means. And my dad died from diabetes. And as he, we used to always like, "Oh, Daddy, teach us how to make it." When he didn't want to make the cobblers, we'd be like, "Teach us how to make it." But it was always a plot because we knew once we started trying to do it, we'll just act like we were doing something wrong. And he'd be like, I got it. So we back up out the kitchen. And that was the thing. But when he got sick, I was like, oh, I'm really going to have to learn how to do this, And so I started learning more. And as far as his, so that we could always have that as a part of our family. And I never thought I would be vegan, but when he got sick, I started doing more research because they were like, this is hereditary. And I was like, I don't want this, and I don't want this for my sisters. And so I found out that it wasn't really diabetes that was hereditary. It was our eating habits. And so I started slowly. I was like 50-50, you know, just trying to eat better. And like I said, I never thought that I would be 100% plant-based ever. And I eat about half raw. So I definitely didn't picture that in my future. But I had endometriosis, and they wanted to do surgery. And I always had really, really bad menstrual cycles, like to the point where the first couple of days I just wasn't functionable. And then I just was on way more than I was off. I had a before cycle, a cycle, and an after cycle. So I was on my cycle more than I was off my cycle. And so it was like really, really horrible. And I was in a lot of pain and really, really bloated. And it was not, sometimes I was vomiting. Like she was not my friend. And so they wanted to do surgery, and I don't take medication. So I definitely didn't want anyone cutting on me. So,
and that's often the cure for endometriosis is surgery, is to cut,
right.
Because they'll say, oh, there is no cure, or we need to go in surgically and fix that, right?
Yeah,
take apart things that are kind of sticking together, and oh my God, how painful.
Yeah, and they told me they couldn't even tell me that it was, you know, or it was endometriosis. It's just, we think it is. That's what women go through. That's what it is, because we don't take enough care about women's health care. But that's a whole nother thing. And they were like, we're just gonna have to go surgery to even know. And I'm like, nah. I was like, let me stop eating meat and dairy and see what happens. And so I stopped eating meat and dairy, and I was only planning on doing it for a period of time just to see what happens. And when I tell you, no pain during my cycle.
Wow.
My cycle is shortened to be about 3 days, not really heavy. And I was like,
what about pre and post cycle? Did that still exist?
There was no pre and post. Like, I didn't know when it was coming. I always knew when my cycle was coming because I would have this pain, and it would, you know, I was like, oh, it's going to be coming. And then it starts spotting, and none of that. It's still not regular. It comes monthly, but it's not where I know every month is coming on this day, but it's very short and no pain whatsoever. And I've had pain since day one. So I was cured myself, and I was like, okay. But me and cheese had a very passionate love affair. Yeah. I thought nothing was wrong. There was nothing broken with that. So I tried to go back, and I was like, and my body was like, oh no, we don't do that anymore. And I was like, yes, we do. Yes, we do. And I was one of the people that there was no such thing as too much cheese. And so I tried to do that, and my body was like, no.
Did you have pain again?
Yeah. No, well, it wasn't for the cycle. It was just that my body was rejecting it. It did not want it.
Most people are lactose intolerant, and particularly people of color are significantly lactose intolerant.
Yeah, but I never had a problem eating cheese. I didn't think.
There you go. Thank you for the correction.
Michael was the problem. Yeah, right. I mean, the cheese wasn't the problem. But like, as far as, when people are dairy intolerant, they usually feel like rumbling. They have some symptoms. I didn't have those. So I thought I was good. I was not. I was not. So after that, it still was, it was a slower process. I had got to about like 80%. And then I got to a point where I was still doing egg whites, and that was pretty much it. And then about a year, there was no egg whites anymore. I just didn't desire it anymore. And the more you put good stuff in, the more your body desires good stuff. So that's pretty much how my journey began and where I am now.
So you actually didn't go vegan when your dad got sick. You started to have more plant-based cuisine. But when was it that you were like, oh, Now I'm
Yeah,
going to veganize this stuff and I'm going to bring it to the community through my daddy's recipes.
that was in 2019.
Oh,
2019 is when I started my company. I was already working for mostly plant-based companies. I was like a brand ambassador and I was doing sales. And I got laid off. I was working for a few different companies, and then I was working for just one. I went to just working for one, and it was maybe a week before, maybe a month before they laid me off. They were like, "You're one of our top salespeople. We want you to start. We want you to start. Trying to get into different companies and different things of that nature." And I was like, "Okay, great." So we were supposed to do that, and then something happened where they had to let my department go. They were like, "You're great. The company's not doing as great, so we're going to have to let you go." And I always wanted to try my food, so I talked to some of my chef friends, and they were like, "Well, over in Highland Park, they have a vegan night that's pretty much put on by the community. Why don't you go there and try your food there?" And that's how my daddy's recipes got started.
So you literally did grassroots from beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, my daddy's recipes, for those of you that don't know, can be found in Inglewood, California. And I love what you're doing for that community because really it is just vibrant and thriving. And I love Inglewood. If y'all haven't been there, they got my daddy's recipes. You got Chef I Bet Stuff I Eat. You're right by the beach. I mean, it is popping. So how has that impacted your community? Because when we think about vegan cuisine, unfortunately, we don't always think about Black and brown communities.
Yes, we don't. The funny thing is that I think we tend to think or be sold and told that Black and brown community doesn't want this type of food. There is a bit of education that needs to go with it because our culture, our culture is so connected with food. It's so it's in the threads of who we are. So we feel like we're turning our backs to our culture when we eat differently. It's like really it's really deep. It's really deep. So it's some education that needs to go along with that. But one of the top, when I have sold the most has been in my community. So we definitely want to eat better. We just want it to taste good. And we thought we thought that it couldn't. But we can use all of the skills that Mamu, Papa, Madir, and all of those people who taught us how to cook. We can use all of those things on fruits and vegetables, and they can be delicious. They are delicious.
And so what are the best-selling items that you have at My Daddy's Recipes?
Well, okay, right now it is our peach cobbler. It is also our my mac and cheese. My mac and cheese. People love my mac and cheese. I think about 35% of the people who buy my mac and cheese are not even vegan. Yes, and then our nut ground does really good, and that's raw. Okay. That is made of pecans and walnuts, so that is really good, and you can use that to nachos, to spaghetti, to whatever you want to put it in, and so that's amazing.
So you're also selling things that people can take home and make by themselves, right?
Yeah, everything pretty much is prepackaged. Everything is prepackaged, unless you catch me at a farmer's market where I'm doing hot food. But everything, usually 80% of the time, we're prepackaged. And so our cobblers come in really cute little 12-ounce little jars, like mason jars. My grandmother, when I was growing up, she used to give us all of our treats, like our desserts and stuff, in little mason jars. So I wanted to give that home feel to my customers. And so everything is in little mason jars, and you can reuse them for all kind of other things. And then they can also bring them back, and I sterilize them, and I can reuse them as well, and they get a discount, so they can do that as well.
I love that.
So yeah, thank you.
It's sustainability, because when you think about veganism, you talk about impact on the climate. And what choices are you making as a business owner to really ensure that you are adhering to that message in so many different aspects of your business? And I think that is incredibly commendable. And I think you get people thinking about it. They're like, oh, I'm going back to my daddy's recipe. I better bring that jar. I get like 20% off. You know what I mean? Like you really do make it something that is valuable to the consumer and to you, and then to the so
right. Yeah. And in February, we're going to do a campaign where you could show me all the different creative ways that you've used your mason jars, and then whoever wins, I'll give them a gift. So just trying to promote that whole, yeah.
You're extending Veganuary to February with your own challenge. I love that.
Yeah.
And so for those of us that are not close to Inglewood, I know, I'm sorry, my VKIND community, Southern California is just the place to be. But if you're not close to Inglewood, how can people get their hands on some of your food?
Well, we do ship. It's a little expensive, especially right now. But we do ship. And then also we have items that are not perishable. Like we have we have something called testimony. All of my seasonings, because I'm a preacher's kid ×2, all of our seasonings are named after church sayings. So our spicy Parmesan is called testimony because you put it on anything, any food item, and it'll make your food testify of its goodness. Yes. So that's testimony. So order that. And then we're going to have some other seasonings coming up within the next month, and you can order our seasonings. So that won't be as expensive because we won't need to overnight it, And
I love that you said that, because I was like, what else is coming out this year?
Yes. And then we also have household items. We have aprons, and we have mugs and different things that have cute little food sayings on there. So you can support in that way. And then also you can donate. We're starting back up our Taste Like Love. That is our nonprofit segment of My Daddy's Recipes. And that's where we feed our community for absolutely free. We provide hot food. And I don't believe in giving to others something that I wouldn't eat myself. So these are the foods. Yeah, this is the food that I would prepare with the same love that I would prepare for my family, that I am preparing for my community. So you can also donate and give that way, and your donations would go towards feeding a family in need.
I mean, I love that. You just jump ahead of everything that I'm asking. Like, what are you guys doing? I know you're feeding your communities of color, but you really are a company and a person that truly gives back. And so are you looking for, or do you currently have any kind of strategic partnerships or initiatives outside of what you're doing in February that's coming down the pipeline? Are you looking for people to partner with you? What's going on?
I am definitely looking for people to partner with me. One of the people I partner with is Supermarket with Olympia. She is opening up the first organic grocery store in our neighborhood. So she's building that, and we will be partnering with her for sure. And we partner with her to give back to the community on several occasions. And we were working with Doctors Without Borders. Not Doctors Without Borders, but with Showers of Hope that feeds the community. Well, they provide showers for the community, and I was coming out and giving out hot food with them. And that was coming strictly out of my pocket. And during COVID, I had to stop that portion. So I'm looking to start that back and be in connection with them again. And anyone else that I would love to connect with me, because it's all about bringing health and wellness to my community. So if you want to partner with me on that, I am 100% open. The big picture vision is to have a wellness community, and in the community where we have like a little bodega where you can come and get grab and go vegan items. Also where we teach as well. And so where you can come and get plant-based food courses, where there'll be therapy, everything that can help us with the recipes to make us the healthiest version of ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and as a community. So that's the big picture goal of My Daddy's Recipe.
And I think that's exactly where you're going to be within 5 years down the road, max. Because this is a community that grows, and we here at VKIND are here to hope that we can connect you with other VKIND community members that see you and are inspired by your story and really want to give back, because that's what it's all about.
Yes, 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 definitely. I just want us to be the healthiest version of ourselves so that we can effectively live out our purpose. You know, we have to be healthy in order to do so. We have to have our brain working and our creativity working, and we do that best when we're healthy, when we're putting good stuff in our bodies. So, yeah,
that is absolutely right. And from the preacher's daughter's mouth herself, Nekia, thank you so much for joining us, because that wraps up this episode of VKIND Connects with the one and only vivacious Nekia Hattley. Now, if you're looking, you're so welcome, darling. You're so welcome. And for those of you at home, if you're looking for comfort food that tastes like love, then you need to check out My Daddy's Recipes right now. And to watch this VKIND Connects episode and many more, go to www.vkindconnects.com.